Can you explain to the audience
Yeah.
what that is a little bit and talk a little bit about that
It's
situation? It's a big deal.
bullshit is what it is.
Coming out the gate hot. I love it. All right.
I mean, like, genuinely, I don't know who asked for this, but whoever did, we need to lock them away and throw away the key because this is just such an insult to creators, writers, animators, the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into telling good stories, and now you can just AI prompt and have a thing. Like
Yeah,
I
but actually explain to the audience what this is. Like, what does it allow people to do? Because I this was like a big story for a moment there, but I feel like it was
yeah.
squashed really quickly. So there might be people that are not even familiar with what's going on.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So, I mean, like, it's definitely still a thing. I'm pretty sure Disney is still pursuing it because they are talking about integrating it, or I don't know that they're talking about it broadly speaking in terms of publicity, but I have read Deadline articles and Hollywood Reporter articles about how this is going to be integrated onto the Disney Plus platform, which is picture your favorite show. The one that was talked a lot about when this news first arose was Friends, which is not a Disney property. It was just what was being used as the example because a lot of people are familiar with it. So picture
Sure.
your favorite show.
Great
We'll
show.
take Friends, for
One of my
example.
favorites.
Now, you have something that you want to see in Friends, but isn't actually canon part of the show. Now you can go on to what will in the future be the Disney Plus platform, and you can say, make this episode of Friends. You give it a little bit of a prompt, like say, um, I don't know, I want to see Joey and Chandler get into hot water with the feds. Now you can see that episode. Um, and
This is a little different
it'll
than what
be
this might be a you might have some news that I'm not familiar with because the original deal that I understood was Disney did a like $1 billion deal or some crazy amount of money with OpenAI. OpenAI is the company that has Sora, which is one of those
mhm,
video generating platforms, and they were
mhm,
licensing their properties, like their iconic Disney character cast of characters, Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Don, all that stuff, all the way
yeah,
down the line, and
mhm,
allowing people to create shorts using their
mhm,
characters, which
yeah,
would then be accessible to other people through Disney Plus. I
right.
hadn't heard that this was a thing that had moved into live action situations now. Is that part of it now too?
Well, I mean, like it's all wrapped up in the same thing. So, and maybe this is a little bit conspiratorial because Disney made
With
that
tinfoil
deal.
hats on, let's do it.
Disney made that deal with Sora, in my opinion, in order to make a robust system for implementation onto the Disney Plus platform. So, yes, all of that stuff that's being made will be available for you to see on Disney Plus, but isn't necessarily canon stuff that will be, like, I
Which is
guess,
why I thought it was
official
focusing
Disney
on
property.
shorts because it wasn't going to be like if you like Moana,
You
if you
could
can make a
make,
Moana
right.
short, it could be something that's easy for them to say this is non-canon. Where if you're making a full-on Moana movie, that gets muddied up for audience members. But I think it's still a
Well,
problem because you don't
they
have any kind of guardrails for what people are going to make with
They
this
do.
access.
I mean, that's a whole separate issue, especially considering Disney's audience demographic and their
Hmm.
rating. But it is the goal that I am discerning, and maybe again tinfoil hat, but what I think the direction this is going in is like let's take a show like The Sweet Life on Deck, or an animated show. To your point, let's take like Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is a good example because the whole premise behind Lilo and Stitch the show is that it follows Lilo and Stitch trying to recapture all of the experiments, all 624 because Stitch is 626 and Reuben we know is with Gantu. Um, they obviously didn't make 624 episodes. So, what this will allow people to do is make those episodes, and they would be they wouldn't be canon in the sense that it's not like Disney stamped, but it would be canon in the sense that they're allowing people to get on the Disney Plus platform and make these episodes for other people to enjoy. And it would be add-ons to the Lilo and Stitch series. So that's
No.
like I think the end goal where people can literally make the stuff that they want. And the reason that they licensed it to Sora is for the system to get more robust so that it would be able to create seamlessly in the style of those shows.
Now, I hope at a minimum, I don't like any of this, but I hope at a minimum that Disney is planning to at least curate this content so not everything everybody makes shows up on Disney Plus, because that seems like it opens a big door to just chaos. And you have
Yeah.
kids that are on that app, you have people that look at the license, the trademark or copyright trademark just recently expired on Winnie the Pooh, and we've already had 2 Winnie the Pooh horror movies because people can now use that property because the
Right.
trademark is lapsed. If you
Mhm.
give people access to use Disney characters, the first thing that many people are going to want to do is put it in a situation that they've never been before, whether that is something graphic, pornographic, horror related. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do to
Whoa,
damage
hold
that
on,
brand, and that
Jason.
seems like
Not
it would be
everyone's mind is in the gutter. Not everyone's
not
mind.
everyone's mind is in the gutter, but plenty of them are. And I feel like there is a whole subset of society that would love to get their hands on these iconic Disney characters just to do oddly provocative things with them. So at minimum, I hope
Yeah.
that Disney is looking at these and saying not everything is going to get pulled through to the app. It's got to go through some sort of curation
Thing
process
is,
first. But I don't know if that's the case.
I actually think, and maybe this is my weird slant on it, but I think that Disney is no longer a kids company. It's very because of all of the different properties that it has acquired, it is producing more mature content, things with heavier themes, things
Which is
with
fine.
things
I
with
don't think there's
more
anything wrong
graphic
with that.
content.
But you still have those brands within the Disney banner that are very much associated with children's content. Your Mickey
You do, but
Mouses,
they can
your Pixar
easily
stuff.
I see this. I think that you can easily address it because I see this sort of becoming like you can set up a Netflix for kids account on your Netflix account, and
Sure.
a kid's account is going to have different content on it. Now, we can have a whole discussion about whether or not those age restrictions or those kids' accounts are effective at what they do, but Disney could easily create like this is Disney Kids and this is Disney's full library.
Which I'm
They
sure
could
they already have
easily
some
do that.
sort of thing like that built into the app. They probably have different profiles where you set the age and then that can help filter some of that stuff out. But the other
So
side of
I
this,
think in that way it becomes less of an issue.
even if you're not concerned about these characters getting viewed by children, it still dilutes the brand and it still dilutes what our expectations are with that brand. So imagine you pointed to the example of Friends, right? Which is not
Mhm.
a Disney property. So this is not something that would be subject to this, but just to kind of keep consistent with the example. You want to make an episode where Joey and Chandler get caught up with the feds for some reason. So you make that, you put it on a streaming service, and people watch that. Now there's confusion about did that happen? I don't understand. If you're watching the series for the first time and you watch this random off episode that somebody has made, does that dilute from the series as a whole?
Yeah.
Are you risking turning people away from watching the rest of what you actually constructed and what you intended to be watched as part of the overarching narrative because people have made their own side quests
Yeah.
and changed the functionality of how the story is?
That's an interesting question that actually brings me to what I think will be the reason that the project gets halted, and it's the current AI lawsuits. So one of the big conflicts in the industry right now is that no one has given their consent to their voice likeness or performances being used for these AI generative purposes. So in the instance of
That's
Friends,
that's
none
not
of the
entirely true.
cast of huh?
That's not entirely true. There are some people that have given their consent. There is a company, and I don't remember the name of it, but there's a company that has started a couple of years ago where they have not released their client list, but there are actors in Hollywood that have paid this company to digitize themselves completely in order to
Mhm.
use that because they're hoping that as AI picks up and starts to use generative features, that they're going to license themselves to be used in AI projects. This way, they can get
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking
compensated
about.
as though they work in there. But
Right,
but
that's not
that's
what I'm
still
talking
something
about.
that's going to feed into the AI stuff. That's why it's
No,
not entirely what you're saying, but it is.
that's exactly what people want. So, I'm not familiar with this company that you're talking about, but even if it does exist, what I'm talking about, the reason that this gets killed is no one has given consent to the in perpetuity use of their name, likeness, performance, voice. Like Disney licensing out, like we'll take Winnie the Pooh, for example. I don't remember who originally did Winnie the Pooh, but Jim Cummings does him now. And Disney has essentially licensed Winnie the Pooh's likeness, including his voice, to Sora in order for people to generate
Mm,
videos using Winnie the Pooh. Jim Cummings has not given permission to Disney for them to do that. And that's what all these lawsuits are about. Now, let's say Disney went to this company that you're talking about, where there are actors who have given permission for this company specifically to license out their likeness and image. In that instance, the actors are still going to get paid because presumably that company is going to go through some sort of contractual agreement with these companies to figure out how the videos are being used, how their name and their likeness and their voice are being used, and the actors are getting compensated for that. Everything that Sora is generating right now, no one is getting compensated for. Jim Cummings' voice as Winnie the Pooh is being used in all of these generative videos, and he's not seeing a dime. And that's the
yeah.
problem.
And even if something is to be worked out where, let's say Jim Cummings did authorize his voice to be used in perpetuity for a payment of some sort, that also doesn't filter out the content that's associated with. I mean, in real life, in real actors, they get a script and they can choose to accept or decline it, even when it's based off of, doing a project previously. Now they want to do a legacy sequel or whatever, right? They say, we want to come back and we want to do another installment. An actor can look at it and go, I really loved playing this character the first time. This does not look like a project I want to be associated with because the quality's not there, the script's not there, I don't understand the vision, whatever the reason may be. And you have the choice to decline that, which the studio then has a choice of, do we recast? Do we change? Or do we, write this character out for some reason? And something happens from there. But if you're going to get a lump sum payment to let your likeness be through, even if they're going to say, hey, Jim Cummings, we'll pay you $1 million, whatever the figure would be, and you'll let us use this for this Sora generated something, it also could degrade his work because people know the voice and he may not be proud of the content that is associated with it.
But that's like basically what these lawsuits are. It's like informed consent. And that's also just generally the problem with AI. I have to be honest, if I was ever presented a contract of that uh type, I don't know that I would ever sign it because for all of the reasons that you are saying, because
Yeah,
um it's because you don't know what's going to be created, and once you sign
yeah.
over the rights to that type of
Then they're gone.
usage, you've signed it over, because all of these contracts currently are in perpetuity. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm signing it this today for 2 year usage, and then after 2 years they have to stop using it. Like that's none of these
Which,
contracts are framed that way.
and I know we talked before about actors who have licensed their vocals, like James Earl Jones. He authorized Disney to use his vocals for Darth Vader, He has now passed, so the money gets paid to his estate for doing so. And I still stand by, if an actor wants to make that decision, as long as they're informed and they know what risks are associated and they're choosing for that, that is their prerogative. But I do think it is hard for younger actors and newer actors that are trying to establish themselves in the industry and have a long career ahead of them to know where that path is going to go. And you run a huge risk of maybe tainting your career because anything you've licensed out is now associated with something that you don't want it to be associated with.
It's
Did
also,
you
though,
hear what Bob Iger said about why they're doing this?
I mean, I heard him say a lot of different things. What specifically are you
Fair.
referring to?
Bob Iger, who is the CEO of Disney, he claims that this is a better way for them to control what their properties are being used for,
Yeah, that's
which I
BS. I
I'm
call
not buying
BS on the
either.
whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, from one point, I guess I can kind of understand that you're gonna say, "Look, if you can't beat them, join them, and maybe at least you could reap some of the benefits of it." But I don't like this approach at all, and I don't think that you're going to get better outcomes because now you're in on the whole thing. Like, that doesn't seem like it's gonna make for more improved content. At best, you're getting curated content, but what stops somebody from going into Sora outside of Disney Plus or going to another, Nana Banana Pro and doing the same thing? It's the same thing. It's still gonna be out there. The risk of potential damage to your brand is still there. You're just allowing it somewhere. It's like being one of those parents that's like, "It's okay if you drink as long as you stay in the house." They're still underage kids. Not a good idea. Wrong is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't necessarily want to get into the whole parenting theory of it, but I think it is largely
That
BS. I don't think that the
was an
logic works out.
analogy. I'm not expecting you to go over your personal thoughts on parenting. I was just creating
Hey
the
man,
analogy for people
I'm
to
sure
understand.
there are moms and dads who watch this, and I'm sure there are moms and dads out there that are currently letting their underage kids drink. And I'm just saying, I'm not making a judgment call on that front. I'm just saying the whole thing reeks and does not hold up logically. It is not logically coherent, the argument that's being made. It's just,
Fair.
yeah.
So this seems like it's not a good idea. I feel like Disney is just throwing things at a wall to see what sticks and see if they can just increase profits somewhere because they could be the first ones to claim that they have functionality like this. And what I'm afraid of is that this is going to be something we're going to see more of. We're going to see it next with Amazon or with Netflix or with Paramount Plus, and everyone's going to find their little AI generated companies or programs. They're going to partner up with them, and then we're going to see this slop everywhere because